Hello, welcome to Cock Dice. I'm Charlie, it's New Year and this is my new army. Yes, it's that optimistic time of year where we all shake out our wallets and start a new legion of plastic minions. This time last year I started a 1,000-point force of Adeptus Sororitas and frankly it didn't go so well. A bunch of stuff happened in 2020, but also I learned that I am not a particularly quick painter, and I'm also not a fan of big armies with a lot of models that are going to be using the same colour schemes over and over again, so my enthusiasm kind of came and went during the project and it took me a really long time. You live and learn. This year I've set myself 4 new challenges for a 40k army to see if I can do a little better and hopefully a little quicker. Number 1, like Ian, I'm going to paint an army that I already own. Over my relatively short time in the hobby, I have gone out and thought, oh, that's really cool. What I'm going to do is celebrate that by buying one, stick it in a box and never painting it. Number 2, I want to finish this before the end of June. My sisters took me most of last year to get through. Partly because I'm a slow painter and partly because that enthusiasm kept coming and going. That means my choice has to be low on model count and big on oomph. Number 3, I want to build on my existing Imperium army so that I can play the models that I put together and paint this time around with the sisters that I painted last time. This kind of project comes with that sort of siren song to start something completely new and off the wall, a Xenos army or a Chaos army. But that would just put my sisters on the shelf half the time. Number 4, I really want these videos to be a kind of any idiot can do it for anyone who comes from skirmish games or smaller games and is maybe put off by the fact that there's an awful lot of models in 40k, or maybe they're a slower or a less confident painter like me, and just prove that actually you can get something on the table reasonably quickly to a pretty decent standard and that it'll be fine. So with those 4 goals in mind, this year's army is Talons of the Emperor. Now I know that's not technically its own army, sort of. But when I went rummaging around in the garage, what I did find was a load of half-painted Adeptus Custodians miniatures and some unbuilt Sisters of Silence. So a week-long Dettol bath later, and here we are. Let's take a look at what we've got to work with. First up, we have some Virtus Praetors, which are the rather brilliant Custodians on jet bikes. Hopefully I'll find all their weapons options, and then I've got the choice between Hurricane Bolters or Salvo Launchers for the mechanised stuff. In the front there, we have some Custodian Wardens. I don't really have a plan for those poor folks. I picked the kit up to make a shield captain and a standard bearer, so these are the honourable leftovers. But we'll see how they pan out. Next, we have some Alaris Custodians with another standard bearer and a shield captain. These guys are supposedly good when it comes to harassing squishy character types with their stratagem for splitting into individual model units and being able to target characters no matter where they are. At the back there, we've got some unbuilt Sisters of Silence, most likely to become a bolter or a flaming unit for some more boots on the ground. Lastly, we've got the good old Custodian Guard, foot-slogging tomb guards for a superpowered psychic despot. Sturdy, slow, not terrible at shooting, but generally better at surviving and chopping things up in melee. I'm restricting myself to the way I built them when I bought them, so my army's going to have to accommodate a little mix of swords, shields and spears that might not be all that optimal, but it's fine. They'll be painted and they'll be fun. While I was in the garage, I found a few other minis that I was going to paint up and throw into the mix. So Valerian and Alea, the Calexis Assassin, Inquisitor Kyria Draxus and good old Eisenhorn. Some of those will probably come in handy for the odd list or just make them a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to paint them up too. They'll make nice little rewards in between identical squads of Custodians. Now I want a paint scheme that will look nice and fit well with my other Imperium troops, who are dark red armour with a cream cloth. I also want to use a scheme that was canon to the Custodes, which means that this year we're going for the Solar Watch. They look really striking, they're not entirely gold because I can't paint metallics to save my life, and they're the opposite to my Sororitas force, meaning that they will match up with the scheme and they're not going to both clash when they're on the table. I also quite like their lore as the sort of first line of brutal and massive overreaction to any tiny threat that might pop up in the home system. I'm going to use the painting recipe that I found on the Citadel app to put together a combination of contrasts and layer paints and see how quick we can get a decent effect without having to slog through loads of layers and loads of shades. It looks pretty simple and it seems to produce a nice result. So that's my plan. Clean out my pile of shame and cobble together an inefficient army of non-golden super soldiers before summer hits. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks with a quick update on how I've gotten on. Hope you'll join me. Ta-ta.
Thanks very much once again for joining us here at the Cock Dice. Please like this video and comment, it really helps boost the channel. You can also subscribe to the channel via the icon below, or why not check out one of our other videos or playlists. You can click on either one's on screen right now.